Ms. Palmer, you opened today's case because the defendant is denying he fathered your 3-month-old son, Jace. You recently met your own father for the first time and refused to have your son grow up without his father like you did. Mr. Ross, you say Ms. Palmer is pinning her child on you because you have money and you are in court to prove once and for all you are not her child's father. So, Ms. Palmer, how does it feel having to raise your son alone?
Your Honor, it's hard. I deal with it only because I'm a mother. And it's just like...
Your Honor, first of all, we used condoms every time we had sex.
We never use condoms, Your Honor.
He's denying your child, as we can see, Ms. Palmer. Am I correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
You're raising the child alone?
Yes, Your Honor.
With absolutely no help from Mr. Ross?
Correct.
Jace is 3 months old?
Yes, Your Honor.
So she apologizes for sending you this test?
Yes.
Right?
Right.
You move on, you go forward with the other guy. At what point do you come back to Mr. Ross and say, I have changed my mind, I think you are my child's biological father? When does that happen?
In the beginning of August, me and the alleged father, we got a DNA test. And in the midst of us getting a DNA test and the results came back, I immediately contacted Mr. Ross.
You immediately did?
Yes.
And what did you say when you reached out to him?
I asked him to do a DNA test for me. And he told me that he was not the father. And then it's just like got to the point where he wanted to, you know, he started claiming my son, sending pictures, everything. He made the statement of he would help me buy a car seat.
I said I would help buy a car seat.
Not only
because I
that,
felt
he
bad.
was claiming my son at the time.
I didn't never claim her son. At this point in time, I was in California. She sent me the text messages. I just kept blocking. I blocked her over 4 times. I didn't change my number over 2 times. I told her I'm not the father of their child.
When you get this communication that I do believe you're my child's father at this point.
And I told her no, I don't think I am.
So how do you go from saying, no, I know I'm not your child's father, to, but I'll buy you a car seat?
Because I felt bad. And she kept bothering me. I mean, I had to change my number. I had to do something.
You felt bad, but you didn't attempt to help me either.
I said I was going to buy a car seat. I ain't say I was going to buy a fraternity test. She trying to trap me because she know I have money. She asking me for
It's
things.
not about money,
She
Your
never
Honor.
asked me to
It's
come
not
see the
about money
child.
at all.
She never asked me to come see the child.
I don't need him to do anything for my son.
So, in your opinion, Ms. Palmer, how does it go from that point? Because this is where I feel like it goes from I'm positive I'm not the child's father to, well, maybe I am, and just in case, I want to kind of support and make sure I've done right by the child. Because what other reason would you have to buy a car seat unless you just, are being kind-hearted? But this is a woman you only had a 2-week relationship with.
The reason I said I'm going to buy the car seat because she left her car seat in my truck.
What was she doing in your truck?
He used to let me drive his car. That's the bad thing about it. He used to let me drive his car.
I used to let her drive because her car was messed up at the time. Like I said, we were talking for 2 weeks.
He took the initiative of being a
all right, got it. Okay, you said in your testimony just a few moments ago that there was a point in time when he had kind of bought into this notion of that the baby was his.
He used to say that he used to look like him. He always said, my son this, my son that, and then it's just like all of a sudden it changed.
I never said that child looked like me. I know that child.
It's obvious my son looked like you. My son has the same lips, same eyes, same ears. My son has short limbs. I'm tall, obviously, Your Honor.
That's a newborn baby. You gotta...
Regardless if it's newborn or not.
Go to him now.
If my son and his oldest daughter was side by side, you would think it's the same exact baby.
No, you wouldn't. Real light.
He even told me that my son is not his son because my son doesn't have good hair.
At the end of the day, we know babies come in all shapes, sizes, and colors with all different textures of hair and everything else, and we don't talk about what's light, what's dark, what's good, what's bad. Everything about this baby is innocent and good. And too innocent and too good to have a paternity issue hanging over his head when he's 3 months old. He deserves the love of his father.
I grew up without my father.
We don't know if that's you, Mr. Ross. We don't know for certain if that's you, but we do know the child deserves it.
Yeah, it deserves it.
All right, so now, you, Miss Palmer, you said you grew up without your father.
I did. I didn't meet my father until a week before I gave birth to my son. And my dad actually looked for me. So it's just like, I don't want the same for my son. It's not a good feeling to have one parent and not the other. And he's a boy, so it's just like, I don't want my son just to feel like his dad never cared.
And what was that like for you growing up without your father?
It was hard because it's just like, I never knew about my dad, but they never initiated the fact who my dad actually was. I tried to research my own father. I never, I gave up after so long. And just for my father to find me a week before I gave birth, my father has really came into my life and changed my life. And I just don't want the same for my son. Like, he doesn't deserve it at all.
And so you feel like Mr. Ross is just attempting to avoid his responsibility?
I honestly do. So it's just like for my son, both of my kids both look like their father. They don't look like me at all.
Your Honor, after all this happened, she kept saying, I said, before I even send you any kind of money, you're going to have to get a DNA test in because I'm not finna just give you no money.
He told me he's not going to pay for one, so
I told him not going to pay for one.
Look.
Because in that case, she could have just told me I was the father when she thought the other guy was, and we wouldn't have to do that. We had to do it at the hospital. But
so you told her, I want a DNA test, but I'm not willing to pay for it.
First thing she told me, she said, well, I'm going to put you on child support. I know how to handle this.
I mean, I do.
So you tell me how I should feel.
Why should I continue to make you or anything like that to take care of your son? I shouldn't have to do that.
Your Honor, I can't.
Well, I do. Hold on. Well, I do feel like Miss Palmer. We have to state the obvious. Once you send a pregnancy test to a man and then tell him, oops, wrong man, I think it is a little bit unfair to tell him, oh, I know how to handle this. I'm going to put you on child support. And you know you have not had a DNA test yet.
I mean, that was going to be the only way that I would have gotten a DNA test was child support. So that's the only reason that I told him that I would put him on child support.
It's not like I was avoiding.
So you were trying to leverage that to make him take the test?
Yes.
So let me ask you this. Are there any other possibilities? You admitted to him that you didn't want to settle down because you were dating other people, you were single, you had just gotten out of a relationship, and you weren't ready. Are there any other people any other men besides the man, the other person, and Mr. Ross?
No, Your Honor.
Your Honor, she was messing around with more guys because the guy she thought was her father, he actually is my cousin friend. And I actually know the guy.
I didn't know they knew each other, if they did know each other.
So of course he told me everything. He told me I wasn't.
He didn't tell him anything because once I got my DNA test, that was it.
But you were cheating on him.
I was not cheating on him.
And it wasn't with me. He told me, he was like, are you the father of Jessica Child? I said, no. He said, well, I'm not either because I took the DNA test. And that's when me and him got to talking. He was like, well, she already cheated on me before. And that's before me and Jessica even knew each other. So, of course, she had been sleeping around with me. Plus, like she said, she was sleeping around with other guys. And guys is plural. That means more than one.
It means more than one, but, Your Honor, it was only the other guy and Mr. Ross. And what makes it so bad is they was months apart. So it's just like, I wouldn't even attempt or bring anyone else into this.
I don't understand how it could be months apart.
All right.
He said that he could have been a father. So it had to been sometime in the same conception.
So, Ms. Palmer, when you say you know he's the father, you talk about because it looks like him. It seems to me that you seem wishy-washy on whether or not it was truly only him you were sleeping with besides the other guy.
It was only him.
In the month of November?
Correct.
What about the month of October?
The month of October, I was with the alleged father.
All right. It's time for the results, Jerome.
Okay.
These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. In the case of Palmer versus Ross, when it comes to 3-month-old Jace Palmer, it has been determined by this court, Mr. Ross, you are the father.
So what's next after this? Are you going to step up and be his father? I was without my father for 23 years of my life.
Yeah, he'll take care of him.
Ms. Palmer, I know. When you tell me about your life and the fact you grew up without your father, I have compassion for you, but I am not surprised. Because what we know in this courtroom is that these situations repeat themselves. They are generational curses. They pass down and they keep repeating themselves until somebody has the courage to break it. And in this moment, you had that courage. And now, Mr. Ross, despite your testimony, this is your biological son. And when you say to her, I'm going to help you take care of him, it's a lot to that. You understand that, right?
Yes, ma'am.
That means financially, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And has she said now you can do it voluntarily, or she can go to court in your home state and you will have court-ordered child support? You all have to talk about that. You all have to figure out how to co-parent. And you have to learn how to talk to one another and respect one another. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
We have counseling and resources for you. I want you to talk to Dr. Jeff. I want you to figure out, how do you co-parent? Don't be ashamed to just say, I don't know, I've never done this. I don't even know how to do it well. Find other people that have co-parented. Ask them questions. It is not an easy thing to do, but it's possible. I wish you all the very best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Court is adjourned.